Kambria.com. Ladies and good morning. I'm the person, my story for Kambria, and we would like to share with our businessmen, supporters, and investors who have been with us for the past few months. And let's hear a few opening words on Vũ Nhi Thức, founder and CEO for Kambria and Online.
Hello everyone. Welcome. I gotta say, I'm very humbled and overwhelmed by you guys showing up. A lot of people here are friends, close friends, partners. We know each other for a while, but a lot of new faces as well. And so this is quite an honor and pleasure for us for this evening. I just got back from Perth. And I've been traveling around for quite a bit, for the past 2 months. And one thing I actually noticed, especially in Vietnam, is that people are hungry and people are frustrated. There are a lot of young, bright kids that want to develop something, kind of like impactful, game-changing for the society. But they don't know how to start. And as government officials want to do something really impactful for the cities. They really put in money, put in policies, but they don't know how to start. And so, to me, that's actually something very, very interesting, because that's the need out there. And it's not only in Vietnam. I feel the same when I go talk to people in Kyoto. Japanese people, they feel like they're missing out. They feel like the innovation rate is slowing down. I feel the same thing when I go to Singaporean people. NTU, they want to do something, leap and bounds better. So there's a need out there, and we want to be the one providing a platform to fill in that void, that gap of pushing on innovation, accelerating the whole process. And so tonight is our soft launch, but it's more like a gathering of people like-minded, right? I think we all here are passionate about technology, about creating values, about making impact for the community, for the cities, for the country, or even for the world. And so, first of all, welcome. And secondly, I think it's going to be very, very interesting panel coming up soon. But most of all, I want it to be a very relaxing, a very casual evening. There are a lot of free booze, as I said, so please test yourself if you haven't yet. But it's a gathering of friends, so that we can chat, we can talk about what are the different things we can do to really help accelerate technology, innovation. All right, so welcome, and let's the event begin. Thank you.
And as we would know, the event has 2 main sections. The first section is the event panel discussion with the guests being experts in different sections around the world. They will be discussing about the opportunities and challenges of investing into differentiated technology. A trend that every country has started to adopt recently. The panel will have the presence of guest speakers from educational institutions, traditions, people, investors, and major incubators and accelerators, as well as startup and advisors. So, without any further ado, let's start the panel discussion. I will pass the microphone to Tú Huy, the moderator of today.
So, Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, all time is heavy raining, but you know, come over here. You that time come here with us. Again, thank you very much. Thank you. So, all right. Right. So, we're gonna have a very good discussion today. So, may I invite the first panelist to speak, Ms. Pinball. This is the level of the okay. Ms. Pinball, business development of Startup Vietnam. Second, please join me to welcome Ms. Kambria, Head of Asia Pacific, Infinity Blockchain Investor. Tom Howard, Partner, Current Capital. May I invite Mr. Liu Bo, the Affiliate Director, Co-founder and CFO of Dragon Capital. Liu Bo, there. You here, of course, colleague. Right, so Tony Mueller, the third gentleman who joined us. Last but not least, I invite Mr. Tuko come over here. He also will be the moderator with me, because you know that this afternoon I asked him, you normally people know you as a speaker. Can you change a little bit from this side to another side, and he agreed. So today and tonight he will be the moderator instead of being the speaker, right? Be challenged by him. Okay. So, can I have the microphone?
Yeah, we have an amazing panel tonight, and so I thought, I agree with you. I just wrote, I can build them on all these questions. So these guys, as a quick introduction, so basically they have been there and had great experience in building up either community, either successful companies, either incubators, accelerators, you name it, and nothing. And so I'm very excited for tonight. So that's fun. This is my side more already.
So, are you ready? We will start with a quick introduction. So, I will pass the phone to the lady next to me.
Hi everybody, thank you for having me here, and thank you for coming here because I know just now was working very hard, and with you guys here make us feel privileged really. And as I said now, this is a very interesting and super panel because we have so many people here basically. So hi, my name is Quinn Ford. So I work for Zoom Startup Accelerator. We were here 6 months ago. Before the accelerator, I worked for the Israeli embassy at the Ministry of Economy. I support the ecosystem, startup ecosystem since 2014. So been there since that, but and I just joined Zoom Startup, an accelerator from Canada. So if you need any help or if you need information, you can find me here. Thank you. Right. Good evening, everyone. I think we just have to give a big round of applause for everyone for coming here today. And I think that in Oriental ideology, like green also is also an auspicious sign as well as prosperity. So I do believe that this soft launch is going to signal a lot of prosperity and wealth to Kambria. I think so congratulations on that. So my name is Nicole, and I've been with this tech startup and specifically blockchain space for 3 years. I started as a non-tech, non-startup person, and just kind of push forward to really work something around the community for blockchain, which is like pretty much like ground zero back in Vietnam 3 years ago. So I learned it through halfway, so just like building my network, helping the ecosystem, putting together meetups and events, and all these spaces. I think most of these spaces have been with me through that journey. So that's why I think that today it's a combination of, the community building of what we have done in the ecosystem. And I hope that we're going to have a very relaxing and casual night talking about what the future holds for this frontier technology. So thank you very much for having me today.
Hey everyone, I'm Tom Howard. I'm a partner at Torion Angel Fund. We started investing in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space in early 2017. So I'm based here in Singapore, but most of the team is based in New York and San Francisco. And we basically have half bankers and half tech people, so we kind of cover the two major disciplines in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here and really excited for the Kambria launch.
I'll do a bit of disclaimer and commercial. Disclaimer is that I'm a private equity guy, work for an investment firm called Dragon Capitals, and invest in non-listed companies. So I do non-listing, and listing is not my things. We also have a startup accelerator called VISA, so Vietnam Innovative Startup Accelerator. The standard offer is a little bit of cash and services for early stage startup, and we have them with product market fit, pitching business model, and with fundraising later on. So that's the disclaimer and commercial. I'm not a technical guy. I'm a private equity people. These guys are the expert.
Hi, my name is Tony Wheeler. I've been in Vietnam 24 hours. I'm here from Australia. I must confess it's not my first time here, but my key role back there is like when I hear people say they've been in the tech ecosystem for a year, 3 years, whatever, it makes me feel really old. I've been around the tech ecosystem for nearly 20 years now, before there even was such a thing. Original background was in aeronautical engineering and business strategy, but I've actually done multiple startups, and now I actually act as a mentor and advisor to startups pretty much across the eastern seaboard of Australia, and I've been asked to come to Vietnam and actually sort of work with some local groups here about how to actually improve and accelerate the development of the whole tech startup ecosystem in Vietnam. So very honored and privileged to do that. In Brisbane, I work with a number of people we'll talk about a bit more later, but a couple of Vietnamese brothers, particularly Nathan and Neil, and they are connected to through Omni Labs and Kambria, and that's how we got our introduction. So I'm very excited to be here. I think the whole Kambria project is awesome, and looking forward to this evening. Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself? I think these guys are really more impressive, so let's get a panel with them.
Thank you very much. So we should have some questions for you guys all. So we think we should start with your intro. As usual, right? So today we have the short opening and we are talking about frontier technology. But we should really all of us, all the audience here, what is frontier technology? We should share with other people about definition of that. So can we start with Nico first?
Yeah. So in your mind, like what exactly is frontier technology, and why are you excited about it?
I think everyone has different concept or definition of frontier technology, but one of the few things that I think might be kind of universal across different, what we call frontier technologies is that basically it comes with a lot of risk. also it's not perfectly the solution to the existing problem, but it has like more vision than that. So it's like beyond, it's like a solution beyond the challenges that we see in everyday life. And I mean, basically, we're talking about lots of different technology like AI or blockchain, and big data and all those areas. Pretty much, I think that the more we find out about it, the more solutions and the more challenges we might see along the way. So I think that's also like the unpredictability and the uncertainty of the technology itself is also what excites me and excites a lot of people in this space. Anyone wants to be the next Lam?
As Nico said, so I think frontier technology is something for me still we can all hear about that, but it's still in the very early stage, in the R&D stage, or it's not yet in the mass market. The market is not able to adopt it yet. So maybe a few years ago we can hear about blockchain, but now blockchains have a lot of applications already. For me, in this couple of years, 2017, 2018, I'm looking into VR, AR, Space 2.0, quantum computing. Many of us not even hear about it yet. The market is not really yet, but it's very exciting. When you see a new technologies and when they can commercialize it and put it into daily life. For example, a few years ago, we see Iron Man with the moving here and there. But now it's already happened. People actually in Vietnam they learn English with VR classes. A couple of days ago, there's a company came to us. They pitching about the new technologies of studying English with VR. I think it's excellent for us because you don't have to go to New York to see what is actual happening there. You go to the restaurant and what is saying. You can learn it from there. So I think it's in R&D stage, but it's very applicable.
So this was actually the first time I heard the term frontier technology. So I had to Google it, and it still wasn't quite clear. And I guess for me, I've always thought of frontier technology as just technology, because any technology that is sufficiently advanced enough, it seems like magic when you first discover it, but over time it just becomes mundane. So in fact, the projector that goes onto the screen at one time, that was frontier technology. Now we don't even think of it as technology; it's furniture, right? So for me, it's just an honest technology. It's the new technology.
Okay, well, you're not the only one to search for it. So I searched for it to the closest answer I get is on Quora, actually. When you search for something on the internet, you usually find not the answer but the consensus. Okay? So in 2016, a lot of people think, robotics, drones, augmented reality, virtual realities, and surprisingly, very recently, they mentioned about blockchain. So it was not something fancy back in just 2 years ago. So to me, as an ordinary person, I think frontier technology or any fancier name you want to give it is something that changed our life fundamentally. For example, robotics is something that helps us with doing and not doing. It's not increased efficiency, it's just we do it or the machine do it. So we're not doing and not doing. And the drone is about going and not going. I go there to pick up something and not going there anymore. It brings it to me. And then the AR, the VR thing is the real or not real, right? It's to give you something you want to escape from, or want to give you something that you more refer to these realities. So that's my definition of technologies.
Yeah, perfect. I should have gone first on this one. Other than just saying ditto. all the acronyms that have been thrown around, whether it's AR, VR, actually the newer one actually about known as XR, whether it's robotics, autonomous vehicles, UAVs, everything else is super cool. When I heard the expression frontier technology, my head straight to Star Trek. And it was just basically, just as an old Trekkie, it's basically space, the final frontier. Until we've conquered that one, then there'll be a new frontier, then there'll be another one. So those of you who said basically is that yesterday's tech was sort of previously the frontier tech, I completely agree with that. And it is something that's super exciting. So if this panel is about actually investing in that, this is the conversation we can get to, that makes it a really challenging space for a lot of the reasons that you've already mentioned. But for me, it's like, it's things we haven't even thought about, how to actually necessarily apply it, how to actually get out there, and like, shit, we want to be Captain Kirk, and exploring space, so let's get out there and do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I shared a comment for you because I was thinking of Star Trek and already. So whenever I think of frontier technology, I think it's like very cutting edge. The technology is not proven yet. The market is not proven yet. But there's a promise, right? When you hear the term, it's like, yes, there's a huge promise of this technology is going to change the world, it's going to change many, many lives, but no one knows whether it's actually going to happen or not. And I think that unknown is what is even more exciting to me. And I think technology a lot of time is putting order in chaos, right? So that frontier is where we're trying to kind of use technology to make our lives better in a massive changing way. It has to be that big, otherwise it won't be called frontier technology. It's going to be incremental. And so that's, to me, that's what I'm most exciting about this.
Thank you, Carlos. So I think we have seen things and things we will happen. So what is the planning actually right now for the frontier technology? We can start with Tony. We see the trend from maybe from Australia.
Just for those that don't want to go first last time, I think this time. It's interesting. Yeah, so what we've seen in Australia particularly, it is actually I'll do a little caveat around it. A lot of the acronyms that we spoke about before, whether it's AR, XR, VR, whether it's autonomous vehicles, drones, all that sort of gear, we're actually sitting here already going, I'm not sure that's actually frontier tech anymore. Okay, that's a handful of people in this room that know what those acronyms mean, and actually have got some idea and inkling of what this stuff is. The majority of the population of this planet still have no idea what most of these things are. You talk about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, you talk about drones, it terrifies them. They have no idea. So the people who are in the know, the early adopters, are always the ones who think, yesterday, what's next? The majority of the population of the planet, and Vietnam and Australia, have no idea what most of these technologies actually mean. And I think we always need to be conscious of that when we're actually talking about what this is and even about how to get market adoption. What's being pushed quite heavily in Australia right now, and again, I'm not sure if it's actually frontier tech or not, a lot of the platform plays are becoming a bit old school, so investors really don't want to look at platform plays anymore. There's still a lot of fintech stuff, but as I said before, that's morphing into blockchain and cryptos. Again, that varies from country to country. Australia is actually being quite progressive in that, in terms of the legislation and regulatory environment is actually making a crypto-friendly environment. So that's actually got quite high user adoption, so one of the companies involved with there, TravelBit, is actually doing some really cool stuff. UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, drone tech, autonomous vehicles. Australia's the perfect place for it because we've got so much space. So when you compare it to Vietnam, you're about 1/20th the size of Australia, but you've got 4 times the population. What you have is very little space. What we have is a massive amount of space. Unfortunately, the challenge is we have an incredibly strict regulatory environment. So trying to actually get frontier tech into the marketplace and autonomous vehicles or drones or anything like that is incredibly hard in Australia. So the user adoption and that sort of stuff is going to be quite a challenge. So it's interesting. Big one we're putting lots of pushing on the moment is actually space. So the new space station, the space has just been opened in South Australia, and things like artificial intelligence and neural nets is actually being applied to things like rocket technology, rocket booster stuff, and even colonization of Mars. So the whole thing about SpaceX and all those sorts of things are really feeding into the Australian pioneering spirit.
So which project are you most excited about, out of all these things that you listed?
For me, I guess there's two answers. There's got to be stuff that actually is about democratization on the planet. So actually things like Kambria, that actually super excites me. So part of my background is building collaborative innovation ecosystems, human systems. So this type of project actually really excites me. The stuff that I get super excited about on a personal level is space. It's like, I just love stuff that flies. So I was an aeronautical engineer, I was in the Air Force for a couple of years. So one of the projects we're working on in Australia right now is building a flying car. So anything that takes off and moves, it's like super cool. So colonization of another planet, why not?
Very, very cool. So what about accelerator? What have you seen so far that will you say like yes, your frontier tech is coming from your other companies that in your portfolio?
Honestly, to be honest, very honest, there's so many startups that work with let's say frontier technologies, AI, recommendation engine, for blockchains, but we are very skeptical with that because whether you're talking big, but is the market there for you to apply your technology there yet? For example, people talk about quantum computing and blockchain. I was like really blank in my mind. I was like, is the market there yet? Can you apply? Where can you apply? Because personally, deep down when I sit here, I just had a conversation with Nico. I was like, what is there yet in Vietnam market? Because it's different. It depends on the market, right? If you talk about India market, I have to say, I have to introduce that we have 9 accelerators around the world. Not around the world, but we have 3 in Canada, 1 in Toronto, and 1 in Paris, and we have 5 in India. We are in different markets, have different views. So here in Vietnam, I think people talk about blockchains, but sometimes I got lost. I don't know, what are you doing and how can you apply it into the market? So we are very skeptical in terms of investing in the frontier technology right now. So the first question we ask is, what did you do? What is the platform, or what is the application, or actual actual business, or any example that you do here in Vietnam already? We look at it and we have a testimony and we think about the investment later.
That's an excellent point. We would love to go back to that. Your skepticism about investing into frontier technology. I think there are a lot of things that we can dig in there. But honestly, I think if we can come up with quantum computing that can hack Bitcoin, I would love to invest into that. I would be all over it. But yes, whether we can get that is a different story, right? Anyway, any other you guys want to add into the trend of yes?
So I think one of the really cool things for me about being focused on blockchain and cryptocurrency investment, well, first of all, we're focused on ways to decentralize, basically, to reduce pockets of centralized power in many different ways. But the innovation of blockchain and cryptocurrency creates a couple of really cool tools that actually expand into many different areas of market technology. So we're really playing with these tools of incentive systems, currencies, of creating more efficient, decentralized ways of doing things, where before you rely on centralization for efficiencies, but now you can have your cake and eat it too. You can be decentralized and efficient at the same time. So we're looking across all of these sectors when kind of evaluating and investing in this one space. It includes quantum. I mean, my view there is like, you know, if you have a quantum computer that can create Bitcoin, then you can have a quantum computer that mines Bitcoin. You know, if you get one, you get both. Not too worried about that, but there's some really cool things coming. Oh, by the way, if that happens, like everything will break, not just Bitcoin. Like literally everything.
I say and all that.
Yeah, Bitcoin
will
fall apart. Yeah. So hopefully we have some quantum encryption that comes along at the exact same time. It might be a rough transition, but yeah, we'll see. That seems a bit far way off, but you know the pace of innovation is rapidly accelerating. So, but yeah, we can still look at it. I mean, we actually get to decentralize innovation itself, and that's exactly what you guys are doing, right? Like you guys you're creating an incentive system around creating these new technologies and decentralizing the power that comes along with having that. And so yeah, that's really exciting.
Well, the one that I like most is actually not blockchain, but the artificial intelligence, because of the vast applications field of it. So, for example, lots of people are addicted to phones. So we thought 10 years ago technology would symbolize our life by automating most of the tasks, but actually give us just more job or tasks to do in one day. It's exploring our brain at best. Most of the people install like 50, 70 applications on average, and then they maybe use half of it. They install the rest maybe just in case they need some function of it, but they can't remember it is there when the actual event occurred. So I think AI is the only way to solve it. You combine different kind of solution that's existing on the market, and you learn how to figure out a solution. You learn how to get around an issue and solve something, and that's should be the solution for born addiction.
Good. I just want to add one thing that I'm super excited about, but also super worried about: gene editing. Right? Not only we can map out the entire genome, for a lot of species, but we can edit the genes as well. And with the addition of AI, now we're learning how to do mass editing of genes, right? And so I don't think we really understand the consequences of this technology yet. And and that got me scared, because I think it can be massive impact, for better or for worse, who knows. But that's another trend that I think we should follow closely.
I think we see our future in the frontier technology. But from here, the path of us is Infinity Blockchain is one of developer. I want to hear the perspective from the developer.
So I might be a bit different from everyone here, is that actually we call ventures. We haven't thought about investment that soon. We are still, we start off as a development company, and actually we know the pros and cons of the technology itself, of blockchain. And we've provided blockchain solutions to companies, we've done community building and so on. But I think at this stage, we see a major transformation of the market, where the exit test for newcomers is even harsher than before. So basically, you can see that a lot of companies are falling off the cliff now. A lot of blockchain startups, so long gone the time when everyone is rushing to ICO and investments. So right now, people are becoming smarter. So they're asking for applications, for use cases. And actually, the technology itself right now, it does not discriminate anyone. So basically, even governments, accelerators, funds, traditional businesses, they are also going for this technology, not only not only investment-wise, but they also thinking about how to adopt the technology itself. So I think that this is also a very interesting trend that we might be able to see that the whole ecosystem might be disrupted. So we will see more players coming from different backgrounds that you can never think of with any other technology. Other than that, I would also say that the fear of missing out, kind of syndrome is even bigger with frontier technology. So basically, for now, of course, it comes with cryptocurrency and everything. But for instance, for now, since we are operating out of a lot of bases, a lot of hubs in the region, we can see that the startups right now, they have the flexibility of moving around the region to support their business. And also the governments and other accelerators also have to compete to get those startups, to accommodate those startups. I think like Wing's case is also one exception case. But we have seen quite a few accelerators and other funds. They're also going, going very hard to target the right startups. So I think this is also a very interesting competition to get the right, the right matches and the right pieces for you to put together to run the perfect, a good business in this space. So that's the thing. So we are just going to think about the investment fund later, but for now, we are trying to invest more in the community building, trying to raise the awareness, and also trying to grow the network. So once we have any startup in mind, that's when we can actually accelerate the startup with all the resources and all the networks that we have. So that's a different approach about including architectures.
So that's actually a very interesting point, right? You're saying that there are a lot of money going to this space, and there are a lot of companies as well. So the money competing for startups as well as startups competing for money. So most of us here, are coming from the entrepreneurial side, right? So how do we best position ourselves for this investment? Could you put forwards into that?
We let the investors talk first before.
I think it would be good to have like everyone in the opinion, right? Yeah. So
How to best position yourself?
yeah, like a company like frontier technology. How can you package yourself so that you can attract the most investment? Because investing into frontier technology is very risky, right? We all know that. And so, from the investor side or developer side, what's the best thing that a startup in this space can do?
I think the common refrain is like the easy thing is spotting the trend and seeing the new technology. The hardest thing is actually capturing the value of it. If you're talking with investors who invest in technology, like they're there because it's risky, so you don't necessarily need to be worried about them being afraid of frontier technology investing. They already understand the risks in that. They've chosen into that space. But what they are looking for is how your particular organization is doing as much as it can to remove the risks of that frontier technology. Often it comes down to the team. If you have the best team, and I've been on both sides of the table. I was an entrepreneur before, and the thing that I most often missed when talking to investors was that the idea that I have, there's 1,000 other people that they want to talk to who have the exact same idea. And sure, I have a different color blue than they have or something like that. But trust me, everyone has had your idea. Many people have had your idea. They've talked to many teams with your idea. And they are literally just looking around for the team that is the best assembled to take on that idea. So you have to have the best team. You have to have the A team. That's how you get investment really.
So actually, it's very interesting. So you brought up a point about risk, right? And so, what are the risks or challenges that would be you thinking of when you invest into a frontier tech or like a deep tech? Right? That's another word. Maybe it's easier to understand. Deep tech company.
So if I'm an investor, they already talk about what they're interested in investing in. They've already processed and accepted the category risk. And so if it's AI, they already understand all the risks inherent in AI. They want to still invest in AI. They'll probably have a very nuanced understanding of what it actually takes to succeed in that space. They're never going to hire someone that doesn't have an AI technologist on board because they know that it's all about medical research. Yeah, you know, and again, it's do you have the right team to go and take advantage of this opportunity yet?
It's interesting. It's an expression that we use a lot in around Brisbane and in Australia. And it's basically execution is everything, and it's exactly what you just said, Tom. It's basically like this talent is. Everyone says, "Oh, I've got the next Facebook." You know, awesome. I've had 15 of them this week already. It's like, where's your proven track record of execution? Are you actually going to be able to deliver? So I agree with a lot of what Tom said. Particularly the categorization risk as well. That's really significant. The other thing that struck me in the question, also your comment, it depends very much each way, deep tech or frontier tech. It depends on whether you're talking software or hardware. They are two very different beasts. And development cycles, development lead times, and the risk profile, go-to-market strategy, scale is very different. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why blockchain is actually accelerating so rapidly. Because it's actually considered to be the new kid on the block, but it's still inherently software. So the development costs are actually pretty cheap. The go-to-market cycle is pretty cheap. Scalability is easy. It's got a lot of inherent ingredients that are basically around the original .com bubble. So it's almost like the second wave of software. You start getting into hardware deep tech, or you start getting things like AI, which is not yet proven, and there's still the lead time, the development time on that is just massive. What we find, particularly in Australia, is that most seed capital, angel investors, and even early stage VCs won't touch them. The only place that those things actually get funded is typically in large research institutions such as universities. There's a couple of new funds that are coming down in Australia that have actually really positioned themselves to take advantage of deep tech, but particularly with a hardware bias, or things that are going into med tech. Because again, in Australia, the regulatory environment to prove a piece of med tech for use takes years and years and years. And most early stage investors, or even early, even Series A type stuff, they just don't want to touch it. It's like, where's your revenue? Where's your existing go-to-market? How quickly am I going to get a return on my capital? It's a very different beast. There's not one size fits all for this question.
Yeah, approximately like 90 to 95% of funded startups fail within the first year. That's an execution problem. That's founding teams that can't work well together. It's people who give up, people who, for whatever reason, they do the wrong thing. And this is what we're seeing in ICOs right now. What happened last year? Every single startup that had an idea got funded. They got funded, and guess what? 90 to 95% of startups that get funded fail in the first year. Now we have the current ICO market where 99% of projects are negative ROI. Most of them have lost 10 times or more the value that they raised. So that's why you fund early stage startups.
Fascinating. So unless Bill has a different question. So my next question would be, what about Vietnam, right? What hope do we have for Vietnam? So we heard a lot about revolution, 4.0. The government making a huge push for that, right? Everyone excited. But so where is Vietnam, in that process? And what hope do we have here? And what would be the advice that you give for whether Vietnamese government or entrepreneurs or tech people?
We go with Bill about this.
Well, this tough question. We're not absolutely not on the other side of the table to answer the questions. So being a financial investor, we're very into the financial services industry, so that's our angles. If there is a evolution, as they call it, we will look at it, how will it impact our industry specific, and given that we have the vast majority pool of talents, blockchain developers, software developers on the market. But the solution is not, figure out by themselves. Need the ecosystem, we need, banks and regulators, other people support. It's like Lego. You need to plug all pack together and play well together in order to, make a revolution to the market. We don't see it coming. We don't see it coming.
Good night.
That's a perfect way to say it. And it was getting low on John.
Sorry, I missed
Yeah.
Say goodbye too early, right? Still here. Still on.
It's weird. I just suddenly thought you just got dissed on stage by a robot. That's actually pretty bad. It's an interesting question. So part of my background is actually how to build ecosystems. And what strikes me about coming to Vietnam is, and I think Brooke said it in the introduction, is we're hungry. The amount of energy through Vietnam right now for this is awesome. The expression I have used with a couple of groups worked with, particularly in Ho Chi Minh City, is based on the expression, there's a textiles thing, it's basically you have the three primary roles you look for: hipsters, hackers, and hustlers. And it's like what I see in Ho Chi Minh City particularly is like if you're not sweeping, you're hustling. It's like everyone is born to sell in this country. And it is just this day-to-day vibe. You get up, you sell in your local community, and you sell anything and everything. And if it doesn't move, you push it so that it moves and I can sell it. And that's an incredibly powerful characteristic because that's the execution side. The challenge comes is the whole history is based on selling to my neighbor. Selling to the motorbike that's actually coming down the street, selling a bit of air to put in the tyre or the next food product. We're actually going to change fundamentally the mindset that says right now, how do we build something that's actually tech, scalable, but I'm actually now talking about a global market rather than actually something that's local. And what I've actually been pitched so far a number of times is actually some really cool ideas, but the market perception, the scale of the market they're thinking about is way too small. Or the ability to actually know how to take it to market. Because it's just not part of the culture here. So in terms of where we go, it's like this huge education process. Again, I see it a lot. There's a lot of accelerators, there's a lot of co-working spaces, there's a lot of competition going on. A lot of what I still see is also, again, it's actually very short-termism and scale of quality of thinking. I think isn't quite there yet. And I think that's the major opportunity to accelerate the education process about what it actually takes to build scalable companies, build collaboration, trust your ecosystem, not competition. Then I think Vietnam has an amazing opportunity to just say you're hungry, super smart people, and I think it's the second fastest growing economy in the world right now. And it's just like, it's a massive opportunity here to capitalize on.
So, additional information?
I agree, it's a different scale here, and I think that startups here need to be cautious about following startup advice from other ecosystems. Because the reality of doing a startup in Vietnam is that the venture funding environment is very, very small. And you're not going to be able to follow the strategies that a hyper-funded Silicon Valley startup follow and follow their growth plan and their scaling plans, because oftentimes those companies are losing money for a decade, a lot of money. Uber was losing billions of dollars, and they still are. And you're just not going to be able to really, it's going to be very difficult to find investors that will follow that strategy in this region. So I think for a startup here, like focusing on customers, revenues, cash flows, real applications is very important, because that is actually what gets funded here. Vietnam is very, has a great opportunity to actually implement trustless technologies. The business environment here is not super great when it comes to trust. And everyone has a story about doing business here and getting ripped off and never getting paid for services or products that are rendered. So using that technology to create some sort of trustless business transaction environment, I think is a massive untapped potential for this country. So, and it's not just Vietnam, like you said, think outside Vietnam. Any emerging market has this problem, this trust problem, and using trustless technology is a great opportunity.
Thank you.
I think just want to come back to the previous question about what the startups should do. I think we were talking a lot about use case and applications. I think this year, people say that maybe the last year it's going to be the ICO year, but this year it's going to be more about like applications and more about government, more about regulation. So pretty much coincidentally, a lot of governments are going to introduce more regulations around blockchain by the end of this year. So I hope that Vietnam is one of them. We already got involved that Singapore, Thailand's already there, but then definitely other countries in Malaysia, they're also on their way to forming sort of framework for the technology itself. So pretty much it's more about the framework. But pretty much we can see that the government is going to do something about it. We also have lots of hope that that's going to be the case in Vietnam. But also, of course, as I mentioned, so the startups basically at the end of the day, frontier technology, I think mostly it's still the back-end technology, most of them, I think. So you communicate about the use case and about interface, how you can best present yourself in the most, vocable way, in the most in the most user-friendly way to your users. That's very important. So let's say a lot of noise. We are having lots about securities, token, about all of these things. At the end of the day, it's still about security, it's still about the products, it's still about the use cases. Unless you can communicate that and you can vocalize it to your user and the regulators, it's still very hard for you to get your message across. So I think that's the point from, as a startup. So the thing about Vietnam, so I just moved to Bangkok 3 months ago, and we set up this entity, and we are now also going around the region and building our network. And the more I go, the more I see that the people in Vietnam should be one of the most entrepreneurial in the region. This is like totally, I didn't really recognize it until I go out of the country, to be honest. It's also very hard for us as a foreign player to come in Thailand in the first place, because the market there is not very friendly with foreign businesses, although the expats really love the life there. So that's just the surface. But back in the back, of course, it's very hard as a foreign player to come in there, to adopt the market, recruit locals. All these regulations are just making it so hard for a foreign startup to really kind of, thrive in this market. So I think that Vietnam has an exciting blend of entrepreneurship, of, emerging markets. People are very poised for innovation, and one of the few markets where you can see the ecosystem is kind of preceding, the regulations and the awareness of the market, of the whole public. So that's one of the things that we can leverage. But on the other hand, of course, that comes with a lot of challenge, how you can really pull the regulators and the public with you, how you can really get them on your side, and to serve the local market. That's also another thing. But I think that I also have great hope that Vietnam, specifically with blockchain, it's still one of the emerging hubs. And then as blockchain startups and as Vietnamese blockchain startup, I think you also need to consider the risk out of operating just in Vietnam. So pretty much, of course, it's a lot of our companies that have operated in Singapore and also have different hubs around the region. So of course, you also have to think about hedging those, how to really kind of protect yourself against those risks, and also kind of trying to think about how you can best shape your business, on a regional scale.
Right? Detail you, right? We can move up, right? So, with your sharing, with your describe, we see that what is frontier technology, how Vietnam, our pictures, our objectives, things that we have to move forward. So, how to join that? By investment, how to move in the way. So, I think I have to ask the panel, if we have money, right, should we invest in this one or not? Personally.
When you invest into frontier technologies, in general, not just particular company, would you invest in the frontier technology as the space, and why or why not?
As an individual?
As your fund, right? As part of your fund, as a
Part of fund.
As an individual, if you have money, you need to allocate your money responsibly. So you have different buckets of risk. So usually you might put 5% of your money in risky investments. Because that's a responsible thing to do. We're a fund that specializes in risky investments. So yes, we do only risky investments. But people that join our fund, they don't give us all of their money; they give us just a little bit.
I thought you had asked about the Kambria project, but not frontier.
Well, that's a short answer, right? That's not even the question. I think we all agree on that. So, but in general, frontier space, if you had started a fund, would you actually focus, or not focus, but invest into these frontier tech, like AI, space, bio?
I can throw it wrong. It's responsible investment responsibility. I guess if you have a portfolio, the allocation into the frontier tech would be sufficient, depending on your expectation of your own risk appetite. To support the future, to support the new life that these technology will change.
So what would be the percentage of your fund? You guys are trying to be politically correct here. I want some controversial answer. I said no, it's 0%. No, So what would be the percentage of your fund to go on the frontier?
We specialize.
100%, yes.
That's what we do.
How about you? How much of the driving capital is putting into?
Well, tiny.
Okay, tiny guy. Yeah, so you have.
Relatively to the total asset is tiny. But if anyone here is Christian or Catholic, they would say 2%, right? But I think it's still not enough. If you have sufficient education, sufficient knowledge about the technology, you buy into that, you have capability, you have the capital to put aside, then it's up to the sky's limit.
But I feel like Visa is doing a lot of this, right? Visa is a lot more adventurous in a sense with yes.
Yeah, I think the final point I just made here is about investing in frontier technologies, about patient capital. It's like if you are looking for quick returns on your money, or if you're looking for revenue streams, if you're looking for dividends, whatever, this is not the space to get into. So you just mentioned Visa. It's like, my sense is that it's going to be the bigger funds that are really backing it. So it's like a mum and dad investor at home, would they be investing in frontier tech? Typically no. But it's highly speculative, it's highly risky, the returns are very long term, unless you get a breakthrough in something, but ordinarily no. So I reckon it's the bigger funds that are really going to be the ones that back the frontier tech and the deep tech. The interesting challenge is, and I know in many countries around the world, in Australia particularly, it's like a lot of that stuff actually doesn't actually come from the big funds, it actually comes from government. And it comes again back to the research houses of universities. Because they're the ones who are structured to do that, they don't have the expectation of return, but the challenge is they're actually not experts at actually commercialization. So this is where we're going to come back to the argument about the total ecosystem actually working together and being able to collaborate. But for the average Joe on the street, basically, it would be most what we're investing in frontier tech.
So for us as Zone Startups, for us the startups and SMEs need to prove out their business model. If they have fractions, if they have distribution channels, so we can go further and think about this. The risk is there. There is huge opportunity. The post valuations, it can goes up really highs and it's like skyrocket. We will never know. But for us, we think about as I said, we're very skeptical about frontier technologies. But for us, we're looking at the market. So, for example, we are going to invest in one of the companies that are using blockchains in healthcare, because the government is very supporting in personal healthcare records. So a year from now, all of us, we may have a personal healthcare record. Unlike years ago, we have papers, and wherever you go to the hospital, you have to have a new profile. So we are thinking, we are investing in something like that there in the market, because we are not bankers capital. So I think it depends on the VC. It depends on the taste of different investor, angel investor, or VC. So I think it's very interesting right now, but it pretty much depends on the taste of different person.
Great. So I think we're running out of time, and maybe one or two questions from the audience. Yes. Any burning question? One question from the audience.
You raise your hand, please. Question from the hand, please.
Or did we just discourage you, everyone, from ever thinking about frontier?
I can speak here.
Yeah, you can shout.
What kind of frontier technologies do you want to see happen and why? So, what do you want to see happen first in this world? The most urgent for it to happen?
So the question is, what frontier technology do you personally want to see happen first, and why? Okay, so I'll take it first. Autonomous robotics is something that personally very invested. And so my belief is that robotics can actually change the world because it can provide cheap labor to the middle class. You think about it, right? That's what if you're wealthy, yes, you can hire people, but the bulk of the world is either middle class or a poorer, and they don't have the access to laborers. And so if we can make affordable and capable robots providing services in the home, hospital, education, we can free a lot of creative hours for people. And so that's what I'm very, very excited about.
We started a company called Neuralink. Elon Musk recently funded that company. So what he's trying to do is create a brain-computer interface so that you can actually have your extended brain in a computer. That is what I'm most excited about, because we will become a hyper-intelligent species, and we can do some pretty crazy shit when that happens. So I'm really excited about that. Unfortunately, it's probably really far away. There's an excellent trilogy of books called Nexus, which dives into this topic, and it takes part a lot in Southeast Asia. It's a really awesome sci-fi read, so definitely recommend that book. And Neuralink was definitely inspired by that book.
Hopefully we don't actually use brain twice as hard.
Yeah, your brain will be online forever, so yeah, just try not to die before that happens. If you want to live forever.
So you want to add what you're most excited about?
It's interesting, and it's like a piece of frontier tech. I don't know if there's an individual one. For me, it's the intersection of a range of them. What's super exciting right now is when you start looking at smart cities, smart agriculture. If you're talking about basically saying, right, well, how do we actually improve the living standard of 7 billion people on the face of our planet? There's no one individual tech that's going to do that. But if we suddenly now start combining advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, robotics, autonomous, machine learning, robotic vision, neural nets, you start bringing all these things together, then suddenly that unleashes a whole raft of possibilities and scales it. economy and possibilities for humanity that I think basically have not been available before. So for me, it's like it's the system integrators, the cool kids right now. There's a lot of really smart PhDs out there just sort of developing individual pieces of the puzzle. It's when you can actually see the possibility of how to connect those things together to influence the lives of 7 billion people. That's the stuff that excites me.
That's a really great example of a technology that's like frontier-ish, because actually that technology, a lot of that you described has been around for a while, but it takes so long to implement that for us it's old tech, but for most people they're not going to see it for another 10 years.
It's a classic example. It's like in Brisbane, there's a whole centre looking at robotic vision, so basically robots at sea. And then you sort of think, okay, drones have been around for a while, battery packs have improved, but suddenly you now start putting visual learning algorithms onto drones, and suddenly it opens up a whole new world of ag tech and farming tech, and it's like you say, each of these bits of tech have been around for a while, but now the integration and connection of them, suddenly says, well, that becomes exciting.
I have a question. I want to get the opinion of the panelists. What is the most underrated frontier technology? For example, it could be a very boring one that currently the market is not pricing on.
That's a very good question.
Do you have an opinion on
So personally, I think space is the most undervalued or underappreciated frontier tech. So I think there are a lot of things that we can do with with the technology from the space perspective, but also from the Earth perspective, because a lot of things that we're pushing there can be applied to Earth. But just because when you hear about space, right, not many people would be willing to make a bet, would be willing to invest, willing to work on a problem. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I mean, there's different ways to definitely not underrated. There's different ways to measure that. So gene editing, that is gonna fuck shit up. Like that's gonna be crazy when that comes to be. But also gene editing companies are super overvalued right now, even though most people aren't really thinking about it or know about it. So like publicity-wise, I'd say that's underrated. But back to the brain-computer interface, that industry has been around for so long. I think that from an investing standpoint, they're like fairly valued. So I think that would be more underrated from a monetary standpoint.
So, no more questions from audience, right? Yeah. So we can. All right. Last one. Last question. Last one. Please. Right.
Thank you for all the very helpful information from the panelists today. Actually, I have a question that we are talking about all these new frontier technology. So what kind of skill set we should improve or we should learn so that we can follow up with all this frontier technology? And one question from Mr. Thượng, according to the World Economic Forum, by 2020, we will lose 5 million jobs to robots. So what do you think about that number?
That's a great question. So I think the World Economic Forum did mention that we'll create 10 more million jobs by robotics and AI industry. So if you think about the internet, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you would imagine jobs like your graphic designer, website developers, right? And so I personally, I believe that, looking at AI and say, hey, robotics, and say, hey, it's a bad thing, is too negative. I think the answer is a lot more nuanced in it, right? So what are we using the AI and robotics for? Are we really creating this, bad entity that take away job, or is really something that can augment existing services, right? Make your job more productive. So instead of taking one person 10 hours, now you can do your job for 5 hours, and you can spend another 5 hours to paint, to draw, to do creative stuff. And so I think that's why, you know, I'd rather be on the other side making robots, so that I make sure that we are going on the right direction. You know, we do not want to take away jobs. We want to enhance people creativity, people productivity, and you know, and even create more jobs. And so that's my my answer to that question.
Another thing is for us about the skill set that people have to equip for themselves.
That's a really good question, a tough question as well. Celia Tom is the answer. So
yeah, so if you look in the U.S., we actually kind of already have this situation because we outsource most of our labor to other countries. So what we have in the U.S. is we actually have a shortage of qualified workers in the U.S. where there's these either very technical jobs that require specialization or management jobs that require sort of like complex and nuanced thinking and people management and that sort of thing. I think those skills are always going to be in demand. We have in the U.S. people that are not trained up for those skills and they can't find jobs. So it's a really strange mismatch where we have many unemployed and we have many open jobs that cannot be filled. And we want to fill those jobs. We want to be the person that can fill those jobs. They're going to be in demand for a while.
I think these ladies here who normally interview about the startup, and so interview about talent, right?
Well, my take is that I started as a non-tech and non-startup person, so maybe I can understand, like, you know, what she's most concerned about. I still think at the end of the day, frontier technology is a very flashy layer on top of what you have been doing with your work. Either you're looking for a frontier technology or you're looking for a traditional technology, I don't think that it's going to matter too much as long as you're passionate and you want, you know, and you're passionate about what you're doing. So if you're a business developer for an AI company, I don't think it's going to be very different from a business developer for a technology company. You still need the core skill sets, but on the other hand, you just need to keep abreast with what's going on in the space, which I think is very important, and you have to learn. I think for learning, learning is important, especially with the technology itself. If I would name, like, let's say, two, not skill set, but I think the core values to the space versus learning, and the second is, the first thing is about learning, and the second is about networking, if that works. I think a lot of CTOs and a lot of execs in this space, they have no other choice than to come out now and talk about their product in ordinary language. Well, I can, you know, like reverse the story, because my CEO before, when he recruited me, I was like, I would never ever work for this company if this is, if this is what the company is about. So he was speaking to me like 3 years ago, drawing all these maps about how blockchain is going to change the world. And what I know at that point is like, yes, it's Bitcoin. Definitely, it's going to be Bitcoin. So, but then he was like talking a bit more about what he's passionate about, like, all the solutions and so on. So I was like, I'm just going to change the way that this company is presenting themselves. So I was the first marketer in the company. And I think I was the first ordinary person in there. So everyone was speaking all Wiki language. I had no clue what they're talking about. So I just had, to pick on one guy, one technical guy every day to sit down and talk with me about what blockchain is about and what you mean by these applications and these solutions. So that's why I got to, I get into this space. No way the geeks are going to open their mouth and talk with you in ordinary language. I think you just have to come out there and just have to show you what you want, keep learning, and really, of course, experimenting every day. And I think that's what it takes, simply as that, just to be abreast of this project.
As a lady, the question of the lady. So I think a very important thing is the ability to learn, because every day I have the pitching from the startups, and they are older, more experienced. Sometimes when they talk about new technologies, it was like in my mind, it was like, because I don't understand at all, right? But after that, I go back and I do my homework. So I think homework, Mr. Google, is very important. You have a lot of information from there, but you need to learn how to sort it out. Second thing, I think networking, yes, because if you don't know about the technologies, you can always come to Mr. Fuku or Nico to ask, because I think a lot of startup and personally people has been paying for their lesson for the startups for the value. So I think it's very important when you go meet up with them and ask them questions. I think it's very important. Last but not least, has to be patience, because frontier technology is not happen tomorrow. So patience is, if you do your business in frontier technologies, make sure that you are not running after the revenue for the check of the revenue. So I think patience is one of the skills that you have to learn also.
Alright, hi. So we have a very great discussion with the panelists, and so a great question for you guys. So, but time is the end up right now. So may I say thank you very much for your answering your So I'd like to give the stage back to the MC. Right? So thank you guys. That was fascinating. Thank you.